They don't get it. They just do not understand. Gather around, kids. Uncle Casey, he's going to share a story with you. When I was growing up in the 90s, coming of age in the 2000s, we used to have these things on television called comedy shows. Now, these shows were designed with one goal in mind: make people laugh, entertain people. They wanted to appeal to a broad audience. The shows were designed to appeal to everyone. Dare I say, they were inclusive. No one was off limits. Jokes were made about everybody. Chris Rock would make jokes about black people, white people. Hell, Chris Rock, he made jokes about people. Earlier this week, I was waiting for one of my videos to upload here on YouTube. I pulled up YouTube and started watching classic segments from Saturday Night Live. I stumbled upon the ambiguously gay duo. Do you guys remember that sketch? Classic comedy that was created by Robert Smigel for SNL. Now, you would never see that sketch on Saturday Night Live today. No. We can't do that. We will offend the G's. Instead, let's create a serious segment that highlights the problems of white privilege. Yeah, I'm sure that segment will have the Lizzo bending over and laughing so hard her pants rip into the size of the Grand Canyon. Over the last 6 or 12 months, we have heard whispers that television networks are looking to get out of the late night comedy business. TBS used to have Sam B., Conan O'Brien, George Lopez. After years of ratings failure, TBS decided that airing reruns of Friends would be more profitable. After decades of the Late Late Show being on the air, CBS made the decision to fire James Corden and cancel the show. Well, KC, CBS didn't fire James Corden, he quit. Yeah, sure. CBS was losing $20 million every year producing that dump. If James Corden quit, it was because he was about to be fired. Since the retirement of Jay Leno and David Letterman, ratings for late night comedy shows have been in the pooper. Well, ratings have been in the pooper for everyone besides Greg Gutfeld, a former magazine editor who I wouldn't describe as being a comedian. He is beating actual comedians at their own game, and he is beating them while he's on cable and they're on broadcast television. Of course, the mainstream media, they don't acknowledge that. According to the media, Jim Kimmel and Stephanie Colbert are the kings of late night. Well, KC, isn't there only one king? How can you have two kings? Yeah, that's what the shitfucks call equity. For years, broadcast networks, they have been trying to figure out why late night ratings are sinking faster than the CNN Titanic. Executives, they just don't understand why America is not falling in love with these so-called comedians. The media, they give the broadcast networks a litany of excuses. The genre is antiquated. There's too much competition. There's not enough diversity. America's tired of watching old white men. You know, oddly enough, the media is partially right. The biggest problem in late night, it's related to diversity, but doesn't have a damn thing to do with racial diversity. It has to do with the fact that every single late night host is the same. Same views, same ideology, same affinity for the woke wiener. Like I've told you guys before, biggest problem in late night television, the host. You don't have to take my word for it. KC always comes with the proof. I'm about to show you an example of why late night shows continue to be a huge embarrassing failure. Do any of you guys happen to watch Sean Squires? KC, who in the hell is Sean Squires? Sean is the unfunny comedian who follows the soon-to-be-fired Jim Fallon on NBC. Judging by his ratings, none of you are watching Sean Squires. Sean rarely generates headlines or interest in the mainstream media, but this week, he managed to accomplish a first, and you guys know how much the shitfucks love a first. Possibly for the first time ever, Seth Meyers managed to capture the attention of the media. Earlier this week, Donald Trump, Orange Man bad. Donald Trump was giving a speech in New Hampshire. At one point during the speech, he was talking about parishioners of Woke United Methodist. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with Woke United Methodist, their parishioners are the people that you see filling the streets waving Palestinian flags, supporting Hamas, and calling for the end of Israel. Now, keep in mind, these are the same people who were complaining about anti-Semitism just a few months ago. Kind of ironic, right? During the speech, Donald Trump, he promised to root out the communists, the Marxists, the fascists, and the radicals on the far left. Trump insinuated, or he outright said, that the biggest threat to keeping freedom in America, it wasn't coming from China, Russia, or the Middle East. The biggest threat to America is coming from within. And to be perfectly honest with you, and I don't always agree with him, but Donald Trump is 100% right. Obviously, the mainstream media, they didn't focus on the sentiment of his message. Just like they always do, the media, they chose to focus on one word that Trump used during his speech. He claimed that these people lived like vermin. Have you seen the streets of San Francisco? Have you seen the streets of Portland, Seattle? How would you describe it? My friend who lives in San Francisco, he sent me some pictures a while back. These were taken right outside of his apartment building. He lives in an upper middle class neighborhood. It didn't look like the outside of the Ritz-Carlton. The streets of San Francisco, it looked like the WNBA dump. That one word, vermin, it triggered feelings of anger and pain throughout the media. Caitlin Collins, Katie Roo! Caitlin Collins claimed that Donald Trump reminded her of Mussolini. No wonder people don't take Katie Roo seriously. But Katie Roo's reaction was mild compared to the reaction of Sean Squires. Now, keep in mind, this is supposed to be a comedy show. Sean Squires, he is supposed to make you laugh, make you entertained before you cuddle up with your emotional support shovel in bed. Watch for yourself. You tell me what is so funny about this.
That we will root out the communists, Marxists, fascists, and the radical left thugs that live like vermin within the confines of our country.
Anyway, back to the real show. This dip racist doofus thinks he can swoop in and set up a dictatorship in 2024 despite having like 9 sets of handcuffs on him. Which veterans were you honoring? These guys? Dude, you're a former game show host. You're not General Hux. Usually veterans want to hear something like, we will honor your sacrifice, not we will root out the vermin from within. Everybody in that audience was probably making this face, or this face, or this face. You know what? It's just good to have options.
First of all, how does this convict Donald Trump of violating the first woke commandment, thou shalt not commit mythical racism? How does this convict Trump of mythical racism? I have seen the people protesting in the streets. Vast majority of them are white. Last I checked, Donald Trump was the white man. Well, KC, technically he's orange. Well, I guess the media got me on a technicality. This is why I say there is a lack of diversity in late night. Every single one of these shows ran with the exact same narrative. Is it too much to ask for late night hosts to have a little bit of creativity? Sean Squires, he makes the same jokes as Jim Fallon. Steph Colbert makes the same jokes as Jim Kimmel. They all make the same jokes, and none of them are funny. And let's get to this false notion that Donald Trump wants to be a dictator. I find this accusation to be incredibly ironic and confusing at the same time. Correct me if I'm wrong here. Earlier this week, wasn't the mainstream media spanking the wanker to the arrival of Xi Jinping in San Francisco? Was I the only one that noticed that? Deacons at Woke United Methodist, don't they worship the model of China and want the same thing here in America? With that being the case, isn't Xi Jinping a dictator? Just to be clear, I am not the one who is accusing him of being a dictator. That description, it came directly from the mouth of our fearless leader, Johnny B. Biden. So this is where I'm getting confused. Sean Squires is demonizing Trump and promoting the false narrative that Trump wants to be a dictator, while the deacons who lead him in worshiping the woke oak tree every Sunday morning are idolizing an actual dictator. Someone please make it make sense. Back in the spring, before Hollywood writers went on strike and did America a favor by refusing to show up to work, Sean Squires, he was averaging 955,000 viewers on NBC. Now, that's not what I would call a great number, but since he comes on after midnight and considering the fact that he is giving a horrible lead-in by Jim Fallon, 955,000 viewers for Sean Squires isn't all that bad. With the writers on strike, the show was off the air for 5 months. To be honest with you, I don't know why NBC put this garbage back on the air. Over the summer, I don't remember seeing or hearing anyone clamoring for the return of Sean Squires. I know his demand is higher in the spring when taxes are due. Every March, I take my taxes to Sean Squires CPA. I mean, this dude's absolutely brilliant when it comes to finding ways for me to pay the federal government as little as possible. When I need my taxes done, I call Sean. But when I'm looking to be entertained, when I'm in the mood for comedy, Sean Squires does not come close to making the list. Judging by his ratings, I'm not alone. Sean made his unwanted return to NBC during the beginning of October. First week back, 808,000 viewers. Where did 140,000 people go? Did NBC fail to promote the show? Did America not know that Sean Squires was making his big comeback? Fast forward 1 month later, week of November 12th. Sean had 4 weeks to build momentum. He had 4 weeks to convince people to give him another chance. Week of November 12th, 755,000 viewers. Where did 200,000 people go? How do you manage to run off 200,000 viewers in the span of 6 months? And 5 of those months, you weren't even on the air. Maybe, just maybe, people aren't watching this show because it sucks. And again, it's not the format, it's not the genre. Conan O'Brien was on NBC for 2 decades. He managed to draw respectable ratings. Hell, Conan O'Brien was drawing similar ratings to Sean Squires when he was on TBS. I am going to keep hammering this point. The biggest problem in late night television? Host. You know why Greg Gutfeld is successful? Greg Gutfeld is relatable. If I saw him in a bar, he seems like the guy you could drink beer with and talk about anything for hours. Can you say the same thing about Jim Kimmel? Can you say the same thing about Sean Squires? If I saw Sean Squires in a bar, I'd hand him my coat. I would think that he's working the door, working for Chelsea, the coat handler. These hosts in late night, they're elitists. They think they're better than us. They think we're stupid. And if there's one thing that middle America cannot stand, it's someone who thinks that they're above us. That is the number one reason that late night television is a huge embarrassing failure. And this problem will never be resolved until the networks choose to acknowledge it. Problem is, that is not going to happen. This genre, it was built by Johnny Carson, carried into the next generation by Leno and Letterman. This genre, it is going to be extinct in the next 5 years because the networks refuse to accept the fact that America is rejecting these losers. But give me your thoughts on this. Seth Meyers attacks Donald Trump in a segment that doesn't closely resemble anything comedic. Do any of you guys watch Seth Meyers? Hell, does anyone watch any of these late night shows? Let me know. Sound off in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share the video. I appreciate every single one of you guys and your continued support. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.